Oh my gosh, guys. Hello and welcome to Keeping Up with Blondie episode 1. I am so excited. I will say that the name is definitely going to change. I feel like it's a tad bit basic, but new name is TBD. We will figure it out down the line. Anyways, I'm so excited. This is something that I have been wanting to do for so long, but have been a tad bit hesitant just because I feel like sharing so much of oneself on social media is kind of scary, but honestly, this is something I've been wanting to do, and I feel like we can just build a good little community where we can have a lot of laughs and help each other and share stories. And you guys know I have so many crazy stories to share, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. I think this will be so much fun. If you guys know me, you know that I love a good podcast. I am constantly listening to podcasts no matter what I'm doing. If you've listened to a podcast, guarantee you I've probably listened to it too, and if I haven't, send it my way. Anyways, let's get into it. So I was kind of debating on what I wanted episode number 1 to be. I was honestly just going to record a video of me talking about Club Space in Miami, and that somehow turned into me going, oh, let me actually just start a podcast. Let me just start my podcast, because I think about it every day. I am driving my golf cart around at work and I'm literally just like, oh, this would be a good idea for a podcast. Oh, this would be one. And I'm like writing down in my notes and I'm like, girl, just start it. So here we are. Episode 1, I want to talk about college. Let's talk about college. Let's get into it. So I absolutely loved college. And I don't want to be like, oh, college was the best 4 years of my life, but it was an amazing 4 years of my life, and there are amazing years to come post-grad. But no, it was great. But it wasn't always rainbows and butterflies and parties and, all this amazing stuff. It was full of a lot of highs and lows and anxiety and tears. But honestly, it made the whole experience. And I think that a lot of people that are like going into college or like going through some of the same things that I went through that are listening to this can really relate and kind of just take some of my advice for what I have for them. So going into college, I genuinely had no idea what to expect, but I knew 3 things. I knew that I wanted to make friends, I wanted to have fun, and I wanted to get that degree. So I did, and for that I am so very thankful, but it was a process, let me tell you. My freshman year going in, I did not know a single soul, and I went to a very, very big school, so I was scared because I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally don't know anybody. However, I turned that around and I was like, I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. This is the perfect time to just really just figure out who I am. Because of course, I loved high school and I loved the people that I grew up with, but I feel like right now, turning 19, going into your 20s, you really figure out who you are. And what better way to do that than just be around new people in a new environment, and you just learn so much about yourself. Yeah, no, my freshman year, I get there and I had to constantly push myself to go out of my comfort zone. Otherwise, I was scared that I was just going to end up like a hermit, inside my dorm room. I didn't want to be like that. I did not want to do that to myself. So every single day, I made it a goal to talk to at least 5 different people. And I had the time of my life. It was silly week for I think the first 2 weeks. So I was in these different groups. I was rushing, which I will also get into, entirely different topic in itself. But I had so much fun. And while I did meet some people that I can say were not so much fun, I still think they made the experience. So yeah, I went around and I introduced myself to everybody that lived in my hall, because we had a carnival later that night, and I really wanted to go, but I was hesitant because I didn't want to go by myself. So I was like, oh, let me just go see if, the people that live around here want to come with, and we can get like a little group together or something. And nobody wanted to go. And it was understandable. Like, it's the first night. Everyone kind of just wanted to like settle in, go to bed, yada yada. Not me. No, I was like, girl, I am going. So I took it upon myself to go by myself, which was so surprising because, like I said, I didn't like doing things by myself then, especially being in such a big school. I really didn't know where I was going either. So I left, and surprisingly, I was going the right way, and I met a girl along the way, and she was just like, oh, hey, like, cute top, and I was like, oh, thanks, you too, blah, blah, blah. Turns out we were literally in the same boat, and we get to the carnival, and we made a group of friends, and it was so much fun. And so the moral of the story is that literally, if you want to do something and you have nobody to go with, or you don't like have that group of friends yet, just go do that thing, and I guarantee you, you will meet people along the way. You will meet people along the way, and when you're there, you will meet people that just enjoy doing the same things as you, and you're gonna make such great relationships and all these friendships, and it'll be really scary at first, but it's worth it. It is. And do things by yourself, responsibly and safely. Just do it. I literally sound like a Nike ad right now. Just do it. Anyways, so my first week of freshman year, which is Silly Week, this is when people are starting to form their friend groups. It's kind of like the initial friend group. Things change. You're probably not going to be friends with them for very long. Or you might be, who knows. And so I was hanging out with some girls, and I was having a great time, but at the same time, I'm like, there are things that I want to do that they don't really want to do, so I'm still going to go do them. And I'm going to keep going out of my comfort zone to do the things that I want to do. And one of those things was rush a sorority. So I was in these group chats with these sororities, and they're like, oh, tonight's Hawaiian theme, so I'm putting on my hula skirt at 9 p.m., and I'm going to the pregame, and I'm going to the mixer, and then afters, and yada yada. And I had the time of my life. Literally, it was so much fun, but it was also incredibly intimidating because, like I said, I was doing this by myself. So I would show up to the sorority house. They pick you up. So you're going to the sorority house with these girls, and, they have their friends and yada yada. So I'm just here, like, talking to everyone, but at the same time still feeling like kind of weird just because I don't have that friend group yet. And you kind of realize that a lot of the girls that are rushing, like, they're rushing for the same reasons. They also don't really feel like they have like their friend groups yet, and so, or they just want to be like a part of something bigger, which is great. And I wanted that too. And even like going to class, I would meet girls and I'd be like, oh, like, come out with us tonight, blah blah blah. Like, it was a great experience, and honestly, I kind of miss it, which is crazy to say. Would I do it now? Definitely not. But it was like, would I go to a frat party now? No. But back then, like, I miss it. I miss getting dressed up. I miss putting on those like cute outfits and hanging out with everyone, and just like having a good time and meeting all these people. But yeah, it was very, very intimidating. And then, so the rush process is great. Everyone's really kind, very fun. But then you get into the actual pledge process. And that's where things change a little bit. And we're going to get into that. So yeah, I got my bid, and I was really excited. But then I started to get a little bit hesitant because I was like starting to hear like all of these horror stories. Or I was just thinking about like the horror stories I've heard before about sororities and like the hazing and whatnot. And I'm not really a big drinker either, and I know that's like, their scene. I love to party, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge drinker. And so I was like, well, are they gonna make me drink a lot and like all this stuff? So I was getting a little bit scared. And so I would go around campus and I'd be like, what was your experience with your frat or your sorority? Like, tell me the tea. And so, even though, because I can't really speak about it, they have some like rule they can't really talk about a lot of it, which is also kind of like a red flag in my opinion. I don't know. And yeah, no, they, even though they were talking like positively about certain things, I was still like, there's still like a tone in your voice that's telling me this is not an actual like good situation. And I remember somebody telling me one time, they were like, yeah, they will, like, sororities will break you down mentally to put you back together again, and then frats will break you down more like physically to put you back together again, to be this like person that they want you to be like a better version of yourself. And I was just like, what is this? I'm like, I do not need to be broken down and be put back together again. I was just like, what is this? And then I started to really think about it, and I'm like, I low key, like, as much as I wanted them to be wrong about it, I was like, they're kind of right, because you're hearing all of these stories, and like, you really realize that they actually kind of might be right. And I would ask the girls, I was like, oh, like, you know, what's the pledge process going to be like? And they can't really tell you, which is also kind of a red flag in my opinion. And they were just, one girl, she was like, oh, like, it's really not that bad. You know, sometimes you just have to do the laundry for the other girls. And I was like, nope. And I know that laundry isn't really something to, like, get worked up about, but it was more than laundry. And I was like, I know this is not going to be a healthy thing for me. I know I probably won't enjoy it as much as I think I will. And this time, like, I knew I wasn't in my head about it. Like, I genuinely just did not have a good feeling about it. So I was like, I'm going to listen to my gut feeling. I don't think I'm going to do this. And there were, you know, the kids in my hall that I was, you know, friends with, and they were texting me, and they're like, oh, Laura, like, what are you doing this weekend? Like, we miss you, or blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, you know, I really do enjoy spending time with them. And if I were to join a sorority, I wouldn't have any time for them because, you know, between class and going to the library with them and, you know, doing things later on that evening and going out to the parties, there was absolutely no time to form friendships outside of that sorority. I mean, maybe there are, maybe for the people that were in sororities, like, you can tell me otherwise and tell me, like, your experience with it, because I could be totally wrong, but this is how I view it. And I just genuinely, like, am really glad that I didn't join. And you can always still be friends with girls that are in these organizations, and you can still go to the parties. Like, you can still go to the frat parties and hang out with people and have fun. You do not have to join a sorority to go to frat parties. Sorry, guys, I stepped away for a second because I got hungry and my phone died. But I'm back now. Like I was saying, you don't have to be a part of a sorority to go to the parties. Anyways, let's change the subject. So, going from that, your girl got sick. Okay? Everyone was sick. This was also right after COVID, too. After lockdown, we hadn't really been exposed to any viruses for over a year, so we were more susceptible to getting sick. And literally, I was sick the entirety of freshman year. And even like a little bit of sophomore year too, but mostly freshman year, I remember I could not go 2 days. I would literally only go 2 days without being sick, and then I would get another cold. And I was like, I don't know how to get rid of it, because I would take my vitamins. I was staying inside finally. Like, I was just trying to fight this cold, this back-to-back cold that I had, and I couldn't get rid of it. And everyone was the same way, so like living in the dorms did not help at all, because once one person gets sick, everybody gets sick. And so that was very, very annoying. And it's probably a little bit different now. I definitely know that COVID had a huge role in that, but freshman year, I mean, living in the dorms, you're gonna get sick. It happens. So take care of yourself, your health, really, because like God, could not focus on my schoolwork. And I noticed it was just so hard between the balance of, you know, like trying to balance your social life with schoolwork and then also like keeping up on your health and your mental health and all of this stuff, and it is hard. It is difficult, especially when you are struggling in some areas. And for me, that was my health. It was also especially difficult because I, along the lines, realized that I didn't even really want to continue with my major. I was going for psychology, and it was like midway through the first semester. I was just like, yeah, I really don't think this is something I can see myself still working towards. Like something I'm very passionate about, and I wanted to be a therapist, but I'm like, I know there are other ways that I can help people. And I was like, I think for my line of work, like I need to be in the creative field. I need to do something creative and be around other people who are super creative. And I always found myself drawn to the art department. So I ended up switching to graphic design, which I absolutely love. But yeah, no. And so it was just hard. It was a juggle between, like having like FOMO with everyone going out and like you want to do all this stuff and you are like, trying to like find your friend group, but you're also trying to stay healthy. And then you're like, oh, but like what even is my major? Like what am I even going here for? Literally so much to figure out in this short little time frame of like 1 year, not even. So it's a lot, but it was a learning experience. It's also hard to figure out what you like too, because like your first 2 years of school, you are literally just taking like math and science classes and all of these prereqs to get them out of the way. The classes you are taking really are not relative to your major at all. A lot of it was me just kind of having to like learn about it on my own. And thankfully, the department that I was in is a very small department, so all my professors I was really close with, and they were very, very helpful, which I'm very grateful for. But for people that are going into bigger fields, I feel like it'd be kind of more difficult because, there's so many students, and I don't know like how your guys' like relationships are with your professors and how easy it is to kind of get the help that you need to really figure out like what you're doing with your major. But yeah, my professors were very helpful with any questions we had. Okay, wait, also, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but I want to talk about this too. One of the best mentalities that I had as well when I was in school, and I still have it, is that I do not want one day to be the same as the other. I will make sure that every single day is a little bit different than the day it was before. Because have you seen that one episode of SpongeBob and it's Squidward and he's just like reliving the same thing over and over? Wake up, eat, go to work, sleep, repeat. Like literally just the same boring thing. And I'm like, nope. And I was, oh my gosh, like I love watching TV. Like I love a good sitcom. So when I got into my like freshman year, I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally like my own sitcom. Like, it's funny. The plot twists, the character arcs, like the new characters that come in, it's just entertaining. And so even like awkward moments or like bad moments, I'm like, this is for the plot. This is funny. Like, this would be a great TV show. I would journal every single day that happened. And I read it now and I'm like, this literally could be a TV show. I can make an entire series out of this. And I think that's great. And I still live by it to this day. Like I really do. I don't know, maybe this is me just being so extra, but I literally like to view life as if it's like a sitcom because it's really funny. Like Modern Family, I love Modern Family. Don't even get me started. Anyways, but yeah, between that, I also love a good plot twist. Like, call me crazy, but I love plot twists. And I feel like imagine how boring life would be if everything just went the way we expected it to go. life would not be as interesting as it is without the plot twists that we have if everything just went the way we thought it was going to go. And so, especially being in school and like certain little things, I really didn't let little like minuscule things affect me or like hit me deeply. Really, I was just like, oh, this is a good plot twist, like this is good for my journal. like no. And like I remember this one night there was a party that I finally convinced my friends to go to, and I'm pretty sure like it got shut down. I don't remember what happened, but we were like, all right, that's fine, like let's just go back to the dorms. And we waited at the bus stop for 2 hours. It was so cold out. And literally, the second the bus came, a whole bunch of kids came, got on the bus, and did not leave any room for us. And I mean, no room. Like, no room at all.
People are trying to get off. We should have stayed room more.
And we're like, oh, that's great. And we're like, we have no idea when the next bus is coming, if there even is a next bus. So we ended up calling one of our friends, and they ordered us an Uber because none of us knew how to work the Uber app either. So it was interesting, but it's a good story, and it's something I remember to this day. And if that night had gone to plan, it probably wouldn't have even been that interesting. It probably would have been just us going out, dancing for a bit, and then going back to the dorms and eating food and going to sleep. So I am grateful for those little moments because they're funny and they're interesting. But guys, literally, let me tell you, my freshman, sophomore year were the best years of my college experience, in my opinion. It could be different for everyone else. However, they were my favorite. And because, so my sophomore year, like I was still living in the dorms, but they were like better. It was like a better building. It honestly kind of felt like a hotel, but it also kind of sucked because we all had our friend group. So you step outside and you're like, hey, like you say hi to somebody, but nobody's really like looking for a lot of friends. So it's a very different atmosphere than freshman year, but it's still fun because you're living on campus and you're living in this building, and it's like you're at a hotel with your friends, basically, is kind of how it felt. And then we get into, junior, senior year, and I'm like, okay, shit's getting real because we're getting an apartment now, and, we're 21, so we're going to the bars, and we're not going to the frats anymore, and if we were, that's like really concerning. But yeah, but then I was like, I kind of felt like I was getting so old by like junior, senior year, which is so crazy to say because, girl, I was not getting old. However, I would go to the bar. We would go to this bar. I remember like the first month of junior year, I'm pretty sure. I was talking to this girl, and that conversation that you have freshman year when you're talking to people and you're like, oh, what's your name? What's your major? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. So this girl was asking me, she's like, oh, like, what's your name? What's your major? And she's like, what year are you? And I go, a junior. And she's like, oh. And I was like, girl, what? She's like, oh, you're old. Girl, you're at the bar. I just turned 21. Oh my, don't even. Yeah, I was like, what? But then I was like, wait, you're gonna like, right, like I feel old. I literally felt old. But I wasn't. Anyways, yeah. But junior, senior year, so in terms of like not really living on campus anymore and having to buy groceries and yada yada, that kind of was just like, okay, this is like adulthood. This doesn't really feel like college anymore. Like it felt like college, but like, I don't know. But then I was going on trips. My friends and I were going on spring break trips, and that was fun. And then so my roommate and I did a study abroad trip over our winter break, which was really, really cool. And that was kind of just like a idea, kind of like I don't want to say it was like super spontaneous because we had a year to plan, but this isn't something I really planned on doing before. Just because you guys literally don't understand, I have such bad FOMO when it comes to just like literally missing out on anything going on in college. And the thought of leaving for a whole semester, I was like, I really actually don't want to do that. But over winter break, I was like, wait, I'm so down. So I got this email and she's like, let's do it. So yeah, we went to Paris for the French Revolution. And guys, it was so cool. We saw so much stuff and there was so much history behind everything we saw, and we tried all this new food. And I tried escargot, and literally gross, like never do it again, but I tried it. And then like the wine and the cheese and the chocolate, like literally everything. It was great. It was amazing. Yeah, so that was an experience in itself. And I noticed like junior, senior year are the years that people really start to kind of spiral a little bit. Like, what are we doing with our lives? What kind of career am I going to have once I graduate? Did I even find an internship? Because that's also been kind of a struggle lately for a lot of people, like just finding internships. It's very competitive. And so yeah, I was also running around like a crazy person, and I was joining all these clubs and like doing all these activities and just trying to get as involved as I could be and meet all these different people and network. But I was also taking 19 credits because your girl was trying to graduate on time and my scheduling got messed up somehow, and so I literally was going insane. But I like to stay busy, so like it kind of worked out, but I was literally going crazy. And so it was so exhausting, but more so like specifically senior year, because oh my gosh, guys, when I tell you, like I said, I have FOMO. So I was taking 19 credits and doing all these like extracurriculars, but I also didn't want to miss out on a night with my friends. So your girl was going out on like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And like having white nights in with my girls, but also going out to the bar after and just doing all this stuff, and also going on trips during spring break. And it was so much fun. But boy, was I tired. And I also modeled at Fashion Week because I wanted to get more involved in my city. So I was going to these casting calls and putting myself out there and doing stuff that still scared me because I want to push myself always. And yeah, no, but honestly, like I did it, and that is such a good feeling. Like afterwards, you're like, I did it. Like it's finally done now, and I can relax. Kind of. Yeah, but anyways, to end this podcast, because it is 5 a.m., I stayed up all night. However, I wanted to end this podcast with my favorite story. So, the night before graduation, well, the few days before, we pulled a 4-day bender, and the night before graduation, I had graduation at 7:30 in the morning. Well, I had to be there by 7:30, and it was, on a Sunday, and this was the very last night that all of us college students were going out together, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I can't miss this. I cannot miss this. And I'm like, knowing me, I can stay up all night. I did it when I was in Paris, too. I literally pulled an all-nighter, and then I walked 12 hours in Paris. Why do I do it? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I don't have an answer, but I can stay up all night and then just be fine the next day, or at least be very tired and still fine. And so we went out to the bar. We went out to like 3 different bars, and I remember like literally just talking to people. I'm like, oh yeah, I have graduation tomorrow, and they're like, no way, what time? And I'm like, in like 2 hours. And they're like, what? No, but it was just so funny. And then we went to our friend's house and then stayed up until literally the sunrise. I'm like, okay guys, gotta go get ready for graduation. Literally, like, get to my apartment, we Ubered, and I throw on my dress, I do my makeup, or I showered first, obviously, but I, like, get ready and curl my hair, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Get to graduation. Guys, I have never been so tired in my entire life. I was literally, it was terrible. I was sitting there and I was like trying so hard not to fall asleep. Yeah, I don't know why I did that to myself, but I had one of the best nights hanging out with everyone. It was so fun and it was amazing, and I don't regret it at all. But anyways, okay, that's the end of my podcast because your girl needs sleep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye.